Now that we have added the debugger, let me switch back to the application and let's go to category. This time, if we try to create a new category and hit it with the empty record, you see it goes back and it hits our breakpoint. Here we have to debug the model state. So if we go on model state, let's first examine the isValid. You can see it's false. Now what properties are invalid? So if you hover on model state, expand this, go to result view, you see both the properties and both of the validations are invalid. So if it's invalid, you'll continue, it will return back to the view and it displays the error message. Okay, so that looks good. Let's say we add some value here and the display order will make it 0. Display order, if you remember, we have validation that it should be greater than 0. If you hit create again, the isValid is still false. This time if you examine what properties are not valid, it's only display order. The name is now valid. So you can see how validations are working. And now you see your custom error message that we implemented. So with this we saw the server-side validation. If you change this to something valid now, and if you try to create, it should be successful. You can see it was created and we have the same test with display order too. Now we have the server-side validations. But what if we want to do the validations on client side to avoid a round trip? Implementing those is simple as well. You will just go back to your create and right here at the end we will add a section for scripts. Here you can add any of the JavaScript. If you take a look at the solution, inside the shared we have validation scripts partial. We need to use this inside the section here and it will do the client-side validations automatically. So here we will use the tag helper in which we have partial. We'll give it a name of underscore validation scripts partial. Make sure that the name is exactly as you see right here. With that in place, if you save this and if you refresh the application, if you try to hit the create button, you see the error message directly here without making a round trip. If you go back, we still have our debugger in model state.isValid, but it doesn't even hit there and it displays the error message as soon as you change it. So it's not hitting our server and the validations are being done on client side now. So with this we have seen how we can implement client-side validations and server-side validations. I want to show you one more thing. If you switch back to the create, in the validation summary we have model only. If we make it all and if we go back and refresh the page, let's try to hit the create button. Now you see two things. Where we have the validation summary, it displays all of the error message, and then in the model it displays the corresponding. So if you have model only, in that place it was only displaying the error message where you have the ASP validation for. So those are the two things that I wanted to show you with all and model only. So we'll save it and we'll just use model only. Even if you comment this line out and if you go back and hit create, it still acts the same. But I wanted to point out the changes, so I added the validation summary. But in future, just validation for will be sufficient, and for client side, we need to include validation scripts partial. So that being said, we have completed the validations for category.